NBC6 News Today at 6:30 starts now.
Our country is in decline. This decline is not inevitable, it's a choice. We need to send Joe Biden back to his basement and reverse American decline.
I've had enough already tonight of a guy who sounds like ChatGPT standing up here.
A fiery debate. The first Republican presidential debate saw sparks fly there. 8 Republican presidential candidates made their case as to why they should be president. And today, the attention now shifts to Atlanta, where former President Donald Trump, the current GOP frontrunner, is expected to surrender to Georgia authorities.
He was, of course, notably absent from the debate last night, said he would not participate, and he didn't, but his presence was definitely felt as those other 8 candidates did talk a little bit about the former president. We have team coverage for you this morning. Julia Bagg has a reaction to last night's debate.
But first, we're going to start with NBC's Bree Jackson. She's actually live outside of the Fulton County Jail in Atlanta, where Trump will be processed and booked later today. Bree.
That's right. Good morning, Constance, Chris. So all eyes are shifting from that debate last night here to Fulton County, and in particular here at the Fulton County Jail, where former President Trump is expected to turn himself in later today, just one day before the Georgia prosecutors' deadline. 8 Republican presidential candidates sparring on the debate stage with one goal in mind: convincing voters they should be the party's nominee.
Now is not the time for on-the-job training. We don't need to bring in a rookie.
Do you want incremental reform, which is what you're hearing about, or do you want revolution?
We will send Joe Biden back to his basement, and we will reverse the decline of this country.
Each person fighting to separate themselves on issues ranging from foreign policy to border security.
Let's fire the 87,000 IRS agents and hire or double the number of Border Patrol agents.
And the economy, and showing divisions over abortion restrictions.
Let's find consensus. Can't we all agree that we should ban late-term abortions? Can't we all agree that we should encourage adoptions?
I stand behind that we should not have a federal abortion ban.
The GOP frontrunner, former President Trump, skipped the debates but remained a major part of the conversation.
Whether or not you believe that the criminal charges are right or wrong, the conduct is beneath the office of President of the United States.
I said that Donald Trump was morally disqualified from being president again as a result of what happened on January 6th.
The former president appearing in a pre-taped interview.
I just felt it would be more appropriate not to do the debate. I don't think it's right to do it.
Trump making his case to 2024 voters while facing multiple indictments, including charges related to alleged efforts to overturn Georgia's 2020 election. And former President Trump's supporters are planning a protest today outside of the Fulton County Courthouse. Meanwhile, the Fulton County Sheriff's Office, they're planning to have a hard lockdown of this area surrounding the jail when the former president turns himself in. Constance, Chris.
Bree, some of the others connected to the January 6th insurrection who were also indicted, John Eastman, the Trump attorney, Rudy Giuliani, we saw that they were processed and had mugshots taken. Are we expecting the same to happen with former President Trump? Can we expect to see a mugshot coming out of this arrest?
Yeah, well, this is one thing that's different than the other 3 cases that we've seen. We do expect the former president to have his mugshot taken here in Georgia. The sheriff's office has said that they plan to treat former President Trump like any other person that comes in to surrender. So that's something to keep an eye out on today. Former President Trump getting processed here at the Fulton County Jail and having his mugshot released.
All right, Bree. Thanks so much. Live report there in Atlanta, and obviously all eyes will be on the courthouse, the jail, when the former president turns himself in.
That's right. They're in Atlanta, and opinions of the watchers we spoke to tend to fall along political lines. NBC6's Julia Bagg. She continues our team coverage with reaction this morning. Julia.
Constance, Republicans here in South Florida certainly sharing their excitement at getting to see those GOP candidates take the stage. But of course, as we've been saying, with the notable absence of the GOP frontrunner, former President Donald Trump. GOP faithful gathered last night at the EB Hotel here in Miami, where they watched those candidates taking shots at each other and at Joe Biden, of course. Now, one watcher noted the debate itself is part of the process. While Democrats question the difference the debate actually made in the long run here, here's what watchers from both parties had to say about last night.
There are a lot of questions, but there aren't a lot of answers. And that's because we believe there's a lack of leadership in this nation.
If Trump is polling at 55%, again, I don't know that anybody on that stage tonight took away, or moved the needle. Everyone will take their little clips and talk about how they dominated, but everyone's spoken such gross generalities about taking it back and coming back and doing it, not, nothing really specific.
While one watcher at last night's Republican gathering praised him for being passionate and articulate, State Senator Pizzo, the Democrat, pointed out if fellow debaters really thought Ron DeSantis were an actual threat, then they would have taken more shots at him. Reporting live this morning in Miami, Julia Bagg, NBC 6 News.
All right, Julia, thanks so much. And while the 8 candidates were trading blows up on the debate stage, did it make a difference? NBC6 political analyst Mike Hernandez says, he didn't see anything that suggested that former President Donald Trump has anything to worry about as far as a fight on his hands with some of these other candidates.
There weren't any knockout blows. There weren't any exchanges that seemed like they would change the dynamics of this race. Whether it was for Florida Governor Ron DeSantis or for any other candidate. At this point, the race is pretty static, and I don't think this debate changed any of it.
Hernandez does think that Governor DeSantis did hold his own last night in comparison to his performance during the gubernatorial debates. Coming up at 7 o'clock on Today, live coverage from Milwaukee after last night's first GOP primary debate. Press Kristen Welker will join for analysis on the battle for second place in the pre-primary polling. Of course, all of those candidates still trailing former President Trump by a big margin.
All right, we have some breaking news at a Northwest Miami-Dade that we are following for you this morning. Here's a live look at Chopper 6. In the area of the 7400 block of Northwest 36th Street, we are hearing reports of a pedestrian possibly hit. Of course, we're still trying to get information confirmed right now. NBC6's traffic anchor, Joanna Torres, she is watching the situation for us very closely. She'll have more information for us in just a few moments. Also, to some more breaking news this morning coming out of Miami as well. Right now, authorities are confirming they're investigating a police-involved shooting.
NBC6's Olivia Jaquith live there in Liberty City for us this morning with the latest on what we're learning, and we still see it's very active there behind you, Olivia.
That's right, Constance. Chris, as you just noted, it was just minutes ago that we received word this was an officer-involved shooting, but details at this point have not been released about any possible injuries. I do want to step out of way so you can just see it continues to be very active here. There have been some police vehicles that have come and left, others that have pulled in, but we still have that mobile command center and crime scene investigations truck centered here. If you take a look at this video we shot earlier, you can see SWAT on scene as well, some heavily armed officers. We did not, until just a few minutes ago, have information about exactly why they were here, and still details do remain limited. But again, we know now this was an officer-involved shooting. We've also learned that authorities have been here since before 3:30 this morning after getting an automated shot spotter alert. Now, neighbors tell me off camera, though, they didn't hear any noise, just waking up to see this activity. We also have video from earlier this morning that shows one person being rolled out, handcuffed to a stretcher and taken away in an ambulance. The area we're talking about is really centered around Northwest 15th Avenue and Northwest 69th Terrace. Now, back out live, we still have have several points of this intersection that are blocked off. In a few areas, crime scene tape is starting to come down, but for the most part, you really can't get to this intersection. We're not exactly sure how long that will be, so of course we'll keep you posted. And we are told that a public information officer is on their way to the scene. We're hoping to get some more information there. Of course, stick with us on air and online for the latest developments. Reporting live this morning, Olivia Jakewith, NBC 6 News.
All right, Olivia, thank you for that update. A $5,000 reward is being offered for anyone with information on a drive-by shooting that happened on the Palmetto Expressway, the 826. It happened back in March, killing 20-year-old Timothy Starks Jr. Investigators say he was the passenger in a red Nissan Altima headed now northbound on the Palmetto near Okeechobee Road. His family now urging people to help investigators solve this case.
Do anyone have any information? My family and I will really appreciate it, so we can have closure. Can you please come forward? Please be anonymous, please. And when I say please, I'm saying please.
Yeah, if you witnessed this deadly shooting or if you have any information that can help detectives, give Crime Stoppers a call.
Several law enforcement agencies teaming together in South Florida to bust an organized GPS theft ring operating all across the state. They're calling this investigation Operation Garmin. It was a pretty big one because the thieves took these Garmin GPS touchscreens from boats at marinas and boatyards down in the Keys dating back to May of this year. And the Monroe County Sheriff's Office says the ring is responsible for, ready for this, at least $2.5 million worth of stolen GPS devices. Take a look at your screen. You see 11 people who face a total of 122 charges stemming from those devices stolen in the Keys alone, 10 of them in custody. The 11th is still on the run. They're trying to track him down. The ring operated across the state of Florida, so those suspects could be facing additional charges in other counties where those crimes took place. It's not just coral bleaching. The hot water temperatures are making coral killer disease even worse. And we're taking a look at local experts and what they say this impact that climate change is having on coral and our ecosystem as a whole.
Well, good morning. Just a few moments ago, you heard our anchors talk about this possible pedestrian struck that's being reported in the Miami area. You can see emergency vehicles there where this pedestrian that was apparently struck was transported, and there was air rescue there as well. Let's take a look at our maps. You know exactly where this took place. Right now, the accident was reported at Northwest 36th Street eastbound after the Palmetto Expressway. That's where you see that orange there on the map. So if you're traveling in that area, it is reported that it happened behind a park, but just be aware of any flashing lights if you are going to be traveling in that area. In Broward, there's also an accident being reported on I-75 southbound on Miramar Parkway. That ramp westbound right lane is blocked. Just proceed with caution. We'll be right back right after this.